Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with a quick, fun, random retro review, kind of stepping into the other American Toku territory, like when I review Beetleborg stuff. I have two of the basic VR Troopers figures from the first season. I wanted to take a look at them because I kind of like taking a look at things like this, and especially because I think it's very interesting how different, like, the basic Power Rangers figures were to the Beetleborgs one to these, and also how these are from two different series, and it's created, or, you know, in Japan they're from two different series, but it's created another thing in my head, just like how the White Ranger suit from Die Ranger, like, fits with the Jew Ranger suits in my mind. It's like a form of brainwashing where it's like I can see both timelines, or I can remember both timelines, and I just recently realized that about this. And you may have thought their poses were a little weird, and that's because there is a problem with these figures in that their feet are off balance. Both of them have ones that are angled down, so they can't really stand that well. It wasn't something I really paid attention to when I was younger because I would just play with them and then they would be sitting in my like toy box or you know, wherever, and I wouldn't really be displaying them, so they have a hard time standing, and that's a drawback. But these are interesting figures. They're kind of standard plastic figures, much more of a regular type action figure than like the standard flip heads or the 8-inch figures that Power Rangers used. They don't actually have terrible details. Obviously the scuffs and stuff is from wear and tear of me owning it, but I think in terms of being kind of a dated toy, they represent the figure, or the design, excuse me, pretty well in terms of like the main details you need to get, the main sculpt. It actually holds up surprisingly decent. The articulation isn't the greatest. I mean, you just get back and forth here and stuff like that. You can move the head, which is at least kind of nice. It has one of my least favorite things that toys will do, which will have two hands of different kinds, and you can't change them out. It just makes it seem awkward. Like, it looks like it's about to be one of those karate chop figures, but it isn't. But it's very, very basic, but I think a decently detailed figure. Same goes for this. Again, you have both of them having these problems with the feet not standing, but I think they got the base level details on these pretty well done. I think his sculpt feels a little bit more accurate. His head feels a little tiny, but I'm still like mildly impressed about how well these are done for the time in terms of the look. And they basically have, you know, the same standard articulation and stuff like that. Nothing too huge to write home about. They did come with some accessories that were missing, and I did have the third one. I have just no idea where she went, and I'm having a hard time remembering the name of the character in the show. I keep wanting to call her Carly because Sarah Brown, who played her in VR Troopers, also played Carly in General Hospital. That's a weird bit of trivia, but that's why she's not in this review. Is like I couldn't find her and I couldn't find their weapons. But as with a lot of these retro reviews, it would take me possibly years, if Infinity review them, if I tried to find every piece as it's traveled through just the general travels of my life. But these are interesting figures. If you're a VR Troopers fan or a Metal Hero fan, I certainly can't recommend them like, oh my god, these are really amazing figures, you need them if you're a fan, like in terms of an amazing collector's figure to have on your shelf. But I think these are fun for vintage collectors. That's where a lot of the things I enjoy come in when it comes to older Power Rangers figures or VR Troopers or Beetleborgs that I own or have hunted down over the years, is it's not so much about like, oh man, this is an amazingly accurate Metal Hero VR Trooper figure that I want to have on my shelf. It's more like kind of a cool like look into history, and I think these are neat for that. Like, I really like having them for that reason, and I think if you're into that and like collecting the history of toys of something you enjoyed, I think they're a fun collectible. Like, I like owning these just for the history of like these classic 90s VR Troopers figures. But anyway, that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.